Going to Springfield and I'm going to Aurora. You may never see me again, but that's okay.
Nearly 3 weeks since Donald Trump promised rallygoers he would visit Aurora, and the date has been set. Trump will be at Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center on Friday. Glad you're with us on Denver 7 News at 6 this Tuesday evening. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Jessica Porter. Trump calling Aurora a war zone in his announcement. He has repeatedly amplified the narrative that a Venezuelan gang has taken over parts of the city.
Well, those claims are not supported by the police, not supported by the city's mayor. Now, Trump's rally will start at 1 o'clock Friday afternoon at that upscale resort. It's on the northeast side of Aurora, the opposite side of town of the apartment complexes that Trump claims have been infiltrated by violent gang members. Now, as of right now, no plans for Trump to visit that area. As we have previously reported, Aurora police have confirmed the presence of the gang Trenderagua, but say claims of any kind of apartment takeover are just not true.
False reports of a gang takeover hit the national spotlight after this video went viral. It shows armed men in an Aurora apartment complex near 12th and Dallas. Police have identified all 6 men in this video and say at this time none are tied to any gangs.
And Trump is using the backdrop of Aurora to magnify his calls for mass deportation. He has vowed supporters he would deport millions of unauthorized immigrants living in the U.S.
The Department of Homeland Security estimates there are 11 million unauthorized immigrants in the U.S.
Denver 7's Christian Lopez breaking down the economic impact for Colorado of a mass deportation.
When we first came to this country in 1997, one of my mom's first ways of generating income was through food.
Alejandro Flores Nunez is now the owner of a catering company in Denver.
Back then, it was just something kind of like to do it to survival. Now I've actually made it into a business with staff.
And it's taking off.
Last year, we were able to cook over 60,000 meals.
But he says reaching this level of success as an immigrant business owner hasn't been easy.
All my life, I've been told that we are taking jobs away. All my life, I've been told that we don't pay taxes, that we don't contribute.
It's also not easy navigating the controversy surrounding immigration as the election nears.
I think what scares me the most is how we are being painted as the bad guys.
A key part of Donald Trump's campaign,
If you look at what's happening with the Venezuelans,
has centered around the idea of mass deportations.
With Donald Trump's mass deportation plan, he has said that even though persons like me and folks who are under TPS are under a protection legal status, he will remove that legal status so that we can then be deported out of this country.
And this is just one of several local businesses that would be impacted if that policy becomes a reality. According to an expert at CU Denver, a mass deportation operation of that scale could really hurt the economy.
Rates of work are very high among the immigrant population. And so we would see a lot of economic costs as a result of a mass deportation effort in Colorado.
Chloe East, an economics professor at CU Denver, says that was the case the last time the U.S. saw mass deportations, from 2008 to 2014, when 400,000 people were deported.
It was called Secure Communities.
East says it left 44,000 fewer jobs for U.S. workers, according to the university's research.
The sort of common narrative is that when we remove one foreign-born person, that means one more job for a U.S.-born person. But that's not how the economy works. It's not a one-for-one trade-off like that. Most immigrants work in jobs that U.S.-born people are not willing to work in. I think the main thing is that mass deportations would cause mass chaos and a mass economic collapse, basically, because our economy is so reliant on immigrants, including undocumented immigrants.
A recent study by the American Immigration Council found the cost to deport nearly 11 million undocumented immigrants would come to a staggering price tag of $315 billion. Alejandro's hoping he can continue giving back.
I've been in this country since I was 7 years old.
In the only home he's ever known.
And I want to stay here, and I want to continue to contribute by creating jobs, by contributing to the local economy.
In Denver, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Going in depth here. Immigration, of course, a top issue this election. A Scripps News poll found a majority of Americans support the mass deportation of undocumented immigrants. 54% say they support the policy proposal, 42% oppose it. And And looking at the partisan breakdown here, 86% of Republicans support the measure, a quarter of Democrats. More than 1,000 people were surveyed for this. The poll also found a third of Americans view securing the U.S.-Mexico border as the country's top immigration priority.
And digging deeper, Colorado state laws prohibit local governments from cooperating with immigration enforcement officers. They also prevent local agencies from being involved in immigration detention. This past summer, we saw the Colorado Court of Appeals uphold those laws after the Teller County Sheriff tried bypassing them. The ruling is the result of a 5-year legal battle between Sheriff Jason Mikesell and the ACLU. Meanwhile, the state recently filed a motion to dismiss a lawsuit that was filed earlier this year challenging those laws that limit local law enforcement from cooperating with ICE. Douglas County initiated the lawsuit and is joined by 5 other Colorado counties, and they argue that the laws are unconstitutional.
We've heard so many ugly claims about Aurora over the past few months. So Denver 7 talked to people who live there, so eager to show the good in the city.
The city of Aurora, in a word: open, hospitable, diverse, loving kindness.
So many people put their hopes and dreams into this city. That's not insignificant.
From the art installations in Aurora Highlands to the Stanley Marketplace, find what makes business owners and residents and visitors so proud of what's happening in Aurora. You can find it on Denver7.com.